Good morning. This video is to tell people why I seized the so-called government of this state. I didn't seize the existing one, I seized the lawful one. There was a reason for it. People asked me at the time, why did you do it? Where does it take you? I just said, just watch this space. I couldn't tell you, and I wasn't willing to tell you, but now I will. A long time ago, my dad, up there, gave me a job to do, according to this. I took the job seriously and started doing it. This is the King James Bible, the common law of this country. Like it or not, that's the law. This is not a religious thing, because an established relationship between anyone and God is not religion, it's a fact. You want to try it, it's good. Now, from that, I tried to put cases to the court, and as the trolls said, I continually put the same issues. They say it had no legal merit, but I can say it had absolute lawful merit. What did I put? This is the original constitution for the state of Western Australia. How to vote is on the back. 52 and 53 is not the Local Government Act or anything to do with local government. It is electoral boundaries sealed in a document that cannot be changed. Can it be altered? Well, 106 allows this to continue subject to our Constitution and altered in accordance with the Constitution. In accordance with the Constitution, well, Queen Victoria knew what the traitors in this country were up to by trying to change everything. They even put a section in the Constitution saying, until the Parliament otherwise decides. Well, we've never had a lawful Parliament. Previous videos I did showed there is none, nor can there be under the system we have. Recently I was ridiculed or sent documents by Brian Shaw saying, can I work out what is happening with these documents? No, Brian, you concealed those documents for 12 years and did nothing except run around the country saying, I'm going to have a grand jury. Well, sorry, read section 80. It says on indictment, in other words, when a person's indicted for an offence, you can have a large jury. A large jury is a grand jury. Just because Victoria has a law saying a grand jury doesn't do away with it. Nobody can take it out. It's in the Constitution, backed up by Magna Carta. Now, what we need was a solution. Every time I went to court, didn't get one. Got a pack of lies from a bunch of traitors. Who were those traitors? Every single judge and magistrate, every police officer, every politician, they're the traitors. They've spent since Federation till now to turn this into a socialist, communist dictatorship. Mark McGowan is flat out trying to take everything we got, including our land held in fee simple. Mark McGowan, you're a nuthead. Go away, idiot. But I'll come to that later because I'm going to suggest how you vote. But first, I would like to tell you or show you the action I took. And people ask me, why did I do it? Well, right now I'm going to reveal to you why I did it. And why Clive Palmer's claim for billions of dollars is not against the people of this state. It's against the states. But that state is not us. And I'll show you why it isn't us. And one of the reasons why I did this. This is a notice of seizure. This too. So I would confuse Mark McGowan, and I did. I did it in 2 stages. Because Mark McGowan is as thick as a brick and couldn't see what I was doing. Nor does he understand it. But he did acknowledge getting him because he sent me a notice and said, oh, you've been declared vexatious. Huh, sorry mate, you got it wrong. the state solicitors, not the Crown solicitors because we didn't have any, took me before a joke gathering before a master of the Supreme Court named Craig William Sanderson. When I challenged his jurisdiction given the provisions of a decision of the High Court, my right, he spat the dummy at me and started getting angry and told me to address me as Mr. Glew, which I am not. That is not my name. My name is Wayne Kenneth Glew. I'm a living, breathing man. And that was adjudged on the 23rd of June 2011. I'm not getting into that. Now, Sanderson became very agitated, told me to sit down and shut up. And I said, no, you pull your head in, you're wrong. He said, Mr. Glew. I said, I'm not Mr. Glew. My name is Wayne, use it. I'll call you whatever I like. And I said, okay then. Your name is Craig, so I'll call you Craig Baby. I did it deliberate to make him spit the dummy, and he did. And the transcript shows he was jumping up and down in his seat, waving his arms, yelling nonsense, nonsense. But they took out the foul language that he used. He called me every F and C and everything else he could lay his tongue to. And I was laughing at him. Then he ran out of the court, and I said, go on, run out of the court, you gutless rabbit. And he did. I was forced to leave the court. So I left the court. He went back in the afternoon and wrote a pack of nonsense after hearing from me. He succumbed to my challenge to his jurisdiction when he ran out of the court. So the decision was void in law. But he had no right to make that decision. He knew it. Under Section 51, subsection 24 of the Constitution, no man can be held to a decision of a court given in his absence or without his ability to defend himself. They didn't want me to defend myself. What they wanted was to take away my constitutional right to defend myself or appeal against unlawful decisions of a lawful court, which we didn't have. So that's the background of what I did. So I noticed, knew then that I had to prevent what they were doing. So there was only one way. So Dad gave me a way. It's under Magna Carta. And this is a lawful notice of seizure of 2 tiers of the Government of Western Australia under the authority of Clause 61 of Magna Carta. I, Wayne Kenneth Glew, CPO, OWB, living, breathing man, do formally and completely seize on behalf of the people of Western Australia the 2 tiers of the lawful government of Western Australia, known as the Executive Government and the Judicature, for the following reasons. The reason I did that, because the Executive Government's never been used, it's been overridden, and the Judicature, which is all your courts, is run by the government, which they're not allowed to. What happened to the separation of powers, McGowan? You know, you took them away just like everybody else. It is required by both state and Commonwealth constitutions that there be an executive government which consists of a lawful governor sworn in with the oath to the monarch as contained in the schedule to the Commonwealth Constitution. This has not been done. The second reason, the governor is required by both constitutions to select 10 from the lower house of the new parliament and 8 from the upper house. This has not been done. The governor is required by both constitutions to select 10 from the lower house of the new parliament and 8 from the upper. I've just read that and done it again. The governor gives the portfolios to each of these 18 people, and they are bound not to sit in parliament to vote. This does not happen. The executive puts all legislation together and puts it to the parliament to debate. This does not happen. This is all factual statements of what they're doing wrong. 5. After passing through both houses of parliament, the legislation is returned to the governor, who signs on behalf of the Queen that the legislation complies with the Commonwealth Constitution and includes state legislation. It continues, the states are established, their authority comes referentially to that Constitution. This does not happen, so no laws are lawful, and that's a fact. The governor swears in police officers as officers of the Crown, and they carry out his orders as the highest person in government. This does not happen. The governor in council is required to select all judges and magistrates, and they are required to swear the oath of allegiance before taking their oath of office. This does not happen. Every gathering to be a court must be a gathering under the sovereign, Queen Elizabeth II, lawful monarch of this country. This does not happen. All courts once lawfully established must sit inside the Commonwealth, held to the Constitution and the common law. This does not happen. Lawful courts are bound by the decision of the High Court and the common law, being the King James Bible and all the imperial laws. This does not happen. Every officer of the courts must be officers of the Crown sworn, and that includes all security officers and prison officers. The rest are unlawful. So this doesn't happen. Every subject of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, lawful monarch of this country, are innocent until proven guilty. This does not happen. All land titles, transfer of land and sale of land is under the authority and sold as an estate in fee simple, free from any tax, fee or fine, and without interference by any parliament. This does not happen. Every reason given above is from our Constitution and is binding on the courts, judges and people of every state. This seizure takes place immediately and remains in place until the problems are rectified and the Constitution is complied with. This has not happened. The only remedy for the so-called government is to put all the issues to the High Court, if we had a lawful one, or resign and allow a lawful government to be established under the authority granted by Chapter 1 and 2 of the Commonwealth Constitution. All the judges and magistrates must be removed and prosecuted, and a new group of lawfully appointed judges and magistrates put in place. This still has not happened. Clause 61 of Magna Carta establishes the right of the people to do anything they like to force the government to comply with our laws made pursuant to our Constitution. This doesn't happen at this time, and it's going to. Signed for and on behalf of the people of Western Australia, dated the 18th of October 2017, signed by me and sealed with a lawful stamp. Wayne Kenneth Glew, CPO, OWB, living, breathing man, lawfully appointed Commonwealth public official. Like it or lump it, this date is under seizure from the 18th of October 2017. Then I filed another document. By the way, Mark McGowan received this and said, "But weren't you declared vexatious?" What a wimpy, sick little answer from a maggot. And that's all you are, McGowan. Now, this is the second document I filed, and this document completes the job. Lawful notice of seizure of the second tier of the Government of Western Australia under the authority of Clause 61 of Magna Carta. I, Wayne Kenneth of the family Glew, CPO OWB, do formally and completely seize on behalf of the people of Western Australia, the Legislative Assembly and the Legislative Council of Western Australia, being the lawful Parliament of the Constitution of Western Australia and the Commonwealth Constitution Act UK 1900, for the following reasons. The reason I did it this way is because we didn't have a lawful executive, a lawful judicature, a lawful legislative assembly and a legislative council. We had political party-based so-called governments operating outside of both state and Commonwealth Constitution and the common law. And you know it, McGowan. You've always known it because you're a socialist, dictatorial little mugget. It is required by both state and Commonwealth constitutions that the state of Western Australia has a lawful parliament and consists of the Legislative Council, the Legislative Assembly and the Queen being the lawful monarch of Australia. We don't have one. Now that's Section 2 of our state constitution. Go read it, but you haven't got it. You had one with 32 sections missing. The Constitution requires that the Parliament is not sovereign and its powers are limited by the Commonwealth Constitution and subject to it. Section 106 refers, Chapter 3, Section 76, page 791, refers, this doesn't happen. Why not? Because you're traitors. The Commonwealth Constitution states that the Parliament is not supreme. The Parliament claims it is. Page 676, Section 55 says it is not supreme. Parliament is not supreme, and the very essence of federation is that it should not be so. Parliament, as far as constitutional questions are concerned, is under the law, and it must obey the law. Also, 106 of the Constitution refers in relation to the state constitutions. The so-called government claims that the states and their constitution existed before federation, and the Commonwealth Constitution just sits over the state constitution to enhance it, and it only controls the federal parliament. The state constitutions only continue subject to the Commonwealth Constitution. 106 refers. The High Court in Andrew James McGinty versus the State of Western Australia, HCA 48, 1996, states that the states did not exist prior to federation. They were colonies, and they ceased on the proclamation of the Constitution on the 9th of July 1900 under Clause 7 of the Constitution. The states were created by 107, 108 and 109 of the Commonwealth Constitution and draw their authority from it. You get that, McGowan? Once federation came in, all the laws prior to federation that carried over, and there were none, by the way, because of the 4 months and 25 days gap. So you got it all wrong. You didn't get it wrong, you just lied, you're a traitor. The Constitution of the states were put in place by a letters patent issued by Queen Victoria on the 29th of October 1900, as were the letters patents for the office of Governor in their original form. The state government at Federation put in place the state constitution with 32 sections missing. This renders the state of Western Australia unconstitutional and all laws and decisions of courts unlawful. You want to challenge that, you try challenging it in England, where you'll find out you're wrong. You are traitors. You are lying, filthy traitors. This document proves the accusation of treason and treachery to remove the Commonwealth Constitution. Section 44 of the Commonwealth Constitution at paragraph 2 is attainted of treason, or has been convicted and is under sentence, or subject to be sentenced for any offence punishable under the law of the Commonwealth, or of a state by imprisonment for 1 year or longer, is incapable of sitting. What that means, since I served these documents and since Brian Shaw served documents on people, none of you people can sit. No, there are no lawful courts in this country to take anyone to. I have gone outside the country and filed into the House of Lords. So I did do something, Brian. You did nothing, because you played around in courts you knew weren't lawful. So don't come questioning what I did. For and on behalf of the people of Western Australia, I, Wayne Kenneth, the family Glew, CPO, OWB, do formally accuse every politician, political party and public servant of treason against the people of Western Australia, contrary to the Commonwealth Criminal Code, which states any person who breaches their oath of allegiance that they owe to the people is guilty of treason, and if they conceal that fact, they are guilty of misprision of treason. See, that's what I did, Brian. That's what you did. I just continued on with more. They are all guilty of treason. They are attainted of treason because they're lawfully accused by an officer of the Crown for criminal offences against the Crown, which is treason and misprision of treason, concealing it. Every politician, political party and public servant has breached their oath of allegiance to the people and is therefore attainted of treason and not capable of sitting. You're all guilty. That must be very, very clear, isn't it, Brian? Section 106 of the Commonwealth Constitution states that Federation, the states can retain their constitutions subject to this Constitution and altered according to their Constitution, not amended or changed. That is an ambiguous statement, inasmuch the courts have played with, oh, it's just an ordinary act of Parliament. No, it's not. It was put together as an imperial law. It was cemented in place on the 29th of October 1900 with a letters patent. 6.1.9 of the Statute of Monopolies prohibits anybody interfering with a letters patent except the monarch. So you want to make an amendment, alteration, or anything else to the state constitution, it requires an application to the Queen or the reigning monarch. This has never happened, so all the alterations, amendments, and everything else you did, including the electoral boundaries you changed before to give benefit to the political parties in the metropolitan area, all invalid. That's why I took the Governor of Western Australia to court. He never appeared. A legal fiction did. The state solicitor admitted it. I won that case. They won $31,000, but they wanted it from a legal fiction, which they stated in court. I was the advocate. They got nothing. That's what they're entitled to. I committed no wrong. Section 42 of our Constitution, and it applies at state level, because all the state laws and acts, statutes, and the Constitution are subject to the Commonwealth Constitution. Section 42, every senator, every member of the House of Representatives shall, before taking his seat, make and subscribe before the Governor-General or some person authorised by him an oath or affirmation of allegiance in the form set forth in the schedule to this Constitution by 106. The states must comply, and they did not, nor do they. They sit in treason until they take the lawful oath. Compliance is required by HCA 39 and 1915 at paragraph 148. It is abundantly clear by Sir Samuel Griffiths, who partly wrote the Constitution, dated the 26th of October 2017, lawfully signed, a CPO as a Commonwealth Public Officer, which I attained when I joined the police force on the 6th of January 1975, and I hold to that oath. OWB is an order of the Wattle branch for my research into the common law of this country and the Constitution. Now, I am a Commonwealth public official because on the 16th of January 2012 I was lawfully sworn in by a Commonwealth public official, a proper one, not a notary public appointed by the government. The reason I say that, because if you use the notary public or a justice of the peace, that's not lawful, because they're not lawful. Sorry, that's the case. Now, I told you I would show you exactly what happens, what I was going to do, the reason why I did this. I've now told you. Now, the end result is there are documents put out, and they're pushing for early voting and votes and going to it all now. No, don't do any of it. Every single person that stands for Parliament must be selected by the Governor, and we don't have one here. He's a traitor. He's not lawfully appointed. He is not an officer of the Queen. He's a level 33 Mason, so he can't be an officer of the Queen. You can't hold to two oaths. You can't serve two masters. You swear the oath to Freemasonry, that's to Satan. You swear the oath to the Queen, that's to this, the King James Bible. Like it or lump it, fact of law. Fact checkers, you want to check it, go for it. You'll find out I'm correct. When you swear the oath contained in our Constitution is to uphold the lawful oath of the monarch, to uphold the Protestant faith, the King James Bible, and hope that she keeps the faith, because that's her job. You uphold Magna Carta, 1688 Bill of Rights, Act of Settlement, Habeas Corpus, King James Bible, and all other appropriate imperial law subject to our Constitution under the provisions of Clause 5. You understand that? That's it. So when Clive Palmer took the state government of Western Australia to court, he messed up. Sorry, Clive Palmer, you can get your money, but you can't get it from the people of Western Australia. They were lawfully seized, the whole lot, and held under the Crown. You can't touch that. But since the 1st of January 2004, the nice Labor Party, and McGowan knows this, they changed this state. They changed it and created another entity called the state. They changed dozens of laws in this state. They removed the Crown, they played with it, they did everything. the judge ruled they didn't. It didn't alter the constitutional recognition. Nutcase liar, nutcase liar. That's all you are. All three of you. You were quorums. You weren't judges anyway. You never signed any documents because you think that gets you out of it. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You force compliance. When you force compliance, you go against the Nuremberg Code. You become guilty of all the offences you force us to do. I never comply with any of it. You stole my property. We'll get back to that in another day. I still own it. Under imperial law, whether you like it or not. But let's get to the subject matter. Clive Palmer, you claim billions of dollars. Go for it. Give them whatever you like. Now, the revelation of truth that you've got to face up to, Clive. Now you've got to go back to court and claim the law against the lawful state that you prosecuted. That's not us. We voted for people to represent us. That never didn't happen. And as you are well aware, no one can benefit from a crime. But you've got 4 nice, big, fat, stupid political parties run by Freemasons, Fabians, and all the rest of the nutcases that run all these parties. And every single one of them have to pay you that money from their assets. You can't touch the people of this state. Sorry, Clive, you got it wrong, mate. I'm not saying you are dumb. Your lawyers are playing in a system whereas it's not the people. It's not constitutional. So every debt you run up against the state, being the state of Western Australia, created under the Acts Amendment Repeals Court and Legal Practice Act, Section 8, they owe you that money. That has an ABN number. It was registered in America. Look at that. It's been dissolved. So where's your money gone now? You can go after every single person who administered that company, which is every political party.
Yep.
Every member. Because they should have known the law. It is a requirement of law that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So now, Clive, go after McGowan, go after the idiot before him, the Liberal Party, the Labor Party, the National Party, the Greens, and every party that was in place. Because every single one of them has sat unlawfully, all have upheld and pushed forward the states, an entity called the states. In 2005, with the Oath Affidavits and Statutory Declarations Act, that unlawful state removed Schedule E to the state constitution, a blatant act of treason against the Crown of England. That let us patent, prohibited them touching it, and they did. So now, high treason is now in play under Halsey's Laws of England, Volume 2. I think the section 284, or pretty close to that, because you've waged war on the Crown. You idiots have done yourselves an injustice. But since I filed those documents, you're sitting in treason, incapable of sitting. Everybody is. Have you concealed that, Mark McGowan? No, I don't believe you did. Quigley would have known. You would have given it around to everybody and come up with the dumbest answer. I'm not going to answer you if you send me any more documents. When I sent you the next document, you answered it again. I still have the letters. So all those people who wondered why I served this notice and what effect it would have, I just took all the debts off you and give it to the political parties who run them up. Every borrowing from overseas is the responsibility of those companies called political parties. Every single one. Every single one of us are exempt, and we are totally exonerated under our Constitution. So what actually do the political parties have? Nothing. Only a huge big headache. So because we're running under a corrupt system of voting, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you my suggestion based on my research into the criminals in this country. put Labor last on the white paper. It's 1 to 9. Labor is number 9, not number 1 like McGowan wants, number 9. Above him, number 8, Liberal. Above him, Greens or National. Then select any independent. When it comes to above the line on the upper house, select one group of people. You can't vote above there. That's what they want you to do. You don't vote above there at all. You leave that whole section blank. Then you vote Labor last, Liberal second last, Greens and Nationals in that order or whichever order you want. But down the bottom of the list, if you do that, you will remove the garbage. But even if you don't, they're going to jail anyway, eventually, because the whole vote will go under challenge as soon as it's done, because then and only then do they commit the criminal offence which they are committing. Now, McGowan has been lying to the people of Western Australia. He's going to move Fremantle Port down in Coburn Bay. Apparently, the environmental studies revealed that he can't do it, and he knows it, which means he can't. So, row 8 has to go back on to the thing, and he's not going to tell you until after the election. He's actually going to try and use, in my information shows, he's going to try and use the unions to say we don't want to move from Fremantle and we're not going to do it and you're going to do what we want. Standover tactics, you know. But it's not going to work, McGowan. The environmental study said you can't put it down where you want to put it. You'll have to find another place or go ahead with the Row 8 project, which you swore you would never do. So now you're in a dilemma, aren't you? The people now know what a lying little maggot you are, and you're concealing the fact, because I've known for about 4 months that your environmental impact study was against what you're doing. It negated what you're doing. Are you going to go against that and force it? Or are you going to go against your lies that you told the people and go ahead with Row 8? Isn't that going to be interesting? Do the people trust you? No. Can you quarantine? The answer is no.
Tell about the default notice for WA.
Yes. And further, to top this off, under UCC 9609, you are under the Uniform Commercial Code. You were at the time, because simply you were under American law as American registered companies, and that's what you are until Trump booted you out. And whether you like it or not, that's exactly what you were. I filed a UCC notice under 9609, common law right to bring a writ against you. That writ was for $999 trillion. I waited the 30 days required and filed a 21-day statutory demand. You defaulted on that. So there you have it, Clive. Sorry, mate. He has to pay the people of Western Australia $999 trillion, and he hasn't got it. Before you can get a red cent. We're first in line. You don't get a look in. So bankrupt McGowan and all his fleas and every political party take everything they want. We'll just sit back and let you do it. Because when you get your billions, we'll pick up the scraps. We don't mind. Because it doesn't exist anyway. It was fiat money. Stolen from the people anyway, because all our taxes go overseas. And they borrow back money to run the state. Pack of criminals. Anyway, you sit down and ponder everything I've just said, because you asked for an answer why I did what I did. You have your answer. We hold everything under the Crown and they can't touch it. So, McGowan, you can't shut the state borders. And as for you, so-called Commissioner Dawson, you're an employee of the government. There is no separation of powers. You shut your mouth. You keep your nose out of the political scene, because it's one thing the police can't do. You're employed by the governor, under the Crown. That is the law, but you're not. So you're sitting in treason too. Now, for the information of every police officer, when they changed it for aggravated assault against a police officer, which had high penalties. They changed it to assault a public officer. Why? Because you're employees of a company and they knew it. A public officer is an employee of a company, not of the Crown, of a company. Don't like that? Tough. You have no authority? Tough. People don't like what I say? Too bad. Am I correct? Yes. Go read the law. I'm correct. You're wrong. You're all sitting in treason. No oath of allegiance to the Crown. No authority. Traitors. You like that? Tough if you don't. Have a good day.